Imagine the Switzerland you've been shown all your life. The one from Bollywood, from pictures and postcards. From the reels you save, telling yourself, one day. That turquoise lake, those snow-capped peaks, that perfect valley with the tiny church in the middle. This is the region that shows up on almost every must-do list of Switzerland, which also means it comes with some very big expectations. And for the final part of our 2-week journey through the stunning country, we were heading straight into it. Hi, we're Manmeet and Ankit. This is the final chapter of our Swiss Babymoon, a 2-week journey across 4 very different regions of the country. If you enjoy thoughtful travel stories like this, do consider liking this video and subscribing. It helps us keep sharing journeys that go beyond just ticking places off a list. The Bernese Oberland was going to be the final leg of our journey. It is easily the most famous region in Switzerland, and fame, as we were about to discover, comes with its own complications. From Bellinzona, we were only a few mountain passes away. After breakfast, we began the 4-hour drive north towards Lake Brienz, a journey that would take us across some of the most spectacular Alpine roads in the country. But along the way, we were finally going to stop at a place we had missed earlier in the trip, the famous Furka Pass, home to one of the most photographed landmarks in the Swiss Alps. A couple of hours into the drive, we finally saw it. Hotel Belvedere. Perched dramatically on a hairpin bend, this quirky hotel looks like it belongs in a Wes Anderson film. The hotel itself has been closed for years, but that hasn't stopped travelers from around the world making the pilgrimage here. We parked the car and walked up to the viewpoint, grabbed a few photos, and after nearly an hour soaking in the views, continued our journey deeper into the Alps. It felt slightly surreal, finally standing there after seeing this bend in the road so many times online. A group of motorcyclists passed us, and as we reached the top of Grimsel Pass, the view suddenly opened up. A deep turquoise alpine lake, snow-covered peaks all around, and a small stone church standing quietly beside the water. One of those moments where the scenery feels almost too perfect to be real. And a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful places on a journey are the ones you didn't even know you were searching for. By late afternoon, we finally arrived at our base for the Bernese Oberland, a place we had been quietly excited about for weeks. Instead of staying in Interlaken itself, we had chosen something a little different. Tucked away inside the Gaadi Nature Reserve, overlooking the turquoise waters of Lake Brienz, sits a 140-year-old heritage property, Grand Hotel Gaadi. Those who've been following our travels for a while already know we're complete suckers for historic hotels. In fact, we stayed in another heritage property earlier in Lucerne, which you can see more of in the first chapter of the series. But this place had something extra. As we parked the car and walked towards the hotel, the real star of the show revealed itself, the Gaadi Falls. 14 cascading tiers of water tumbling down the mountainside, flowing all the way into Lake Brienz below. And there's a small secret to the falls, but we'll come back to that a little later. The hotel dates back to the late 1800s, and walking through it feels like stepping into another era. It even has its very own historic funicular that takes guests down to the lake, where you can catch a ferry or simply enjoy the view from the water. Our room gave us front row seats not just to the Lake Brienz, but also to the waterfall itself. And the first thing we noticed was how peaceful it felt. After a long day crossing the Alps, there really couldn't have been a better place to slow down. That evening, we tried the hotel's restaurant, which serves a fixed seasonal menu made using ingredients sourced from around the region itself. And as we sat there enjoying dinner, with the sound of the waterfall echoing behind us, it felt like the perfect way to begin the final chapter of this journey. The next morning, after breakfast at the hotel, we set out to explore the place that had been on almost every Switzerland itinerary we had seen, Lauterbrunnen. Driving into the valley felt surreal. This was the Switzerland we had imagined, and clearly we weren't the only ones. Finding parking in Lauterbrunnen can be surprisingly tricky. So when we managed to grab one of the last spots right in the center of town, it almost felt like a small victory. From here, the plan was simple. First, Mürren on one side of the valley and then Wengen on the other. To reach Mürren, you take a cable car up to Grindelwald, followed by a short train ride along the mountain ridge. But this was also the moment we realized just how busy the region had become. The cable car was packed, completely packed. There was barely room to stand. For a few minutes, squeezed into the cabin with dozens of other people, it felt a little uncomfortable, especially knowing we had to be careful on this trip. Thankfully, the ride itself is short. And the moment we stepped out at Grindelwald, everything changed. The train to Mürren moves slowly along the mountainside with the entire valley opening up below you. And suddenly, the rush of the cable car was replaced by something much calmer. Mürren feels like one of those villages that barely seems real. We spent some time walking through the village, taking in the views, before heading back down into the valley, because there was still another side of Lauterbrunnen we wanted to see. From Lauterbrunnen, we took the train up to the village of Wengen, perched high above the valley on the opposite side. The ride itself is beautiful, slowly climbing through the forest and alpine meadows before opening up to sweeping views of the valley below. By this point, it was already post-lunchtime, so we stopped at a small supermarket in the village, grabbed a couple of sandwiches and found a quiet spot to sit down for a while. Simple food, an extraordinary view. Sometimes those small pauses become the most memorable moments of the day. After lunch, we headed back down into the valley because there was still one thing left on our list, that photograph. If you've ever seen Lauterbrunnen on social media, you probably know the one. It took us a little while to find the exact spot, but when we finally did, we also found the line. Dozens of people waiting patiently for their turn to step into the frame. 45 minutes of waiting. 30 seconds to take the photo. Smile, step aside, we got the picture. But standing there in that line, we realized something. Maybe we weren't experiencing the valley anymore. Maybe we were just collecting it. And as we walked away from that spot, we couldn't help but feel a little conflicted. Because the valley itself was still breathtaking, but the experience of it had somehow started to feel rushed. From Lauterbrunnen, it's a short drive to another place that appears on almost every Switzerland itinerary, Grindelwald. But the moment we drove into town, we realized something. If Lauterbrunnen felt busy, Grindelwald felt even busier. We sat in the car for a moment and looked at each other. And that's when we asked ourselves a simple question. Were we really enjoying this, or we were just following the checklist? Because in a place like Switzerland, beauty isn't limited to the famous spots. Sometimes it's waiting just a little further away. So instead of joining the crowds, we turned the car around and started driving somewhere quieter. Aare Gorge. By the time we arrived, it was almost closing time. which turned out to be perfect. There were hardly any people around. Aare Gorge is a narrow canyon carved by the Aare River over thousands of years. Wooden walkways run along the rock walls, guiding you through the gorge as the river rushed below. Towering cliffs rise on both sides, sculpted into dramatic shapes by centuries of flowing water. And compared to the packed valleys we had just left behind, the quiet here felt almost surreal. We walked slowly through the gorge, taking our time, finally able to experience the landscape at our own pace again. Sometimes the best travel decisions are the ones you make in the moment. After a long day exploring the valley, we drove down to the lakeside town of Brienz for dinner, a quiet village sitting right on the edge of the turquoise waters of Lake Brienz. We found a table at a local favorite, Bino's Pizzeria, and had just started looking at the menu when we heard it. The sound of cowbells? Curious, we stepped outside to see what was happening. A long procession of cows slowly making their way through the town. For a few minutes, traffic stopped, conversations paused, and everyone just watched.
That was so loud.
One of those completely unexpected moments that remind you why traveling is so special. Not the places you plan, but the moments you never saw coming. The next morning, before heading out again, we decided to take advantage of one of the biggest perks of staying at Grand Hotel Geisbach, the waterfall. Because when you stay here, you can reach the falls before the park opens to the public, which means for a brief window in the morning, you can have the entire place to yourself. It's a short walk up from the hotel, but the closer you get, the more powerful the sound becomes. And then you realize the real secret of Geisbach Falls. You can walk behind it. A narrow path leads to a small bridge tucked behind the curtain of falling water. Standing there with the waterfall crashing just a few feet in front of you. The view suddenly opens up. Through the water, you can see the Grand Hotel Geisbach above the trees, and beyond it, the turquoise waters of Lake Brienz stretching into the distance. For a few quiet minutes, we had the entire place to ourselves. It was beautiful. Later that afternoon, we headed down to Brienz for one last iconic experience in the Bernese Oberland. The Brienz Rothenbahn, a historic steam-powered cogwheel train, the last of its kind, that has been climbing this mountain for more than a century. Machines like this once powered the modern world. Today, you rarely see them still working. The ride to the top takes about 45 minutes, climbing steadily above Lake Brienz as the landscape slowly opens up behind you. At the top, we grabbed a simple lunch from the mountain buffet. Bratwurst, fries, and onion sauce. Nothing fancy. But sitting there, looking out towards the peaks of the Jungfrau range, it felt like the perfect way to spend our final afternoon in the Alps. After coming down from the Rothorn, we made our way back toward the lake just in time for the last ferry of the day. The evening light had turned soft and golden. As the boat moved across the water, we finally got to see Grand Hotel Geisbach from the lake, tucked into the forest above the shoreline with the waterfall cascading down beside it. From out on the water, the whole place almost felt like something from another era. On our final morning in the Bernese Oberland, we woke up a little earlier than usual. Not to chase another viewpoint, but simply to sit here for a while. When we began this journey, we thought planning was everything. That if we prepared well enough, things would fall perfectly into place. But somewhere along the way, the trip started teaching us something different. That sometimes the most meaningful moments arrive when you simply allow them to. And sitting there together, watching the water fall endlessly into the lake below, we realized this trip had given us something far more valuable than just beautiful places. Perspective. Because very soon, life will become wonderfully unpredictable. And maybe the best way forward isn't trying to control every moment, but learning to embrace whatever comes next, together. Later that day, we made a short stop in Bern before heading back to Basel. And it was there, as we were preparing to leave Switzerland, that we came across a piece of news that stopped us for a moment. A tragic plane crash. We were flying home on the same aircraft type later that day. For a moment, the idea of the perfect itinerary suddenly felt very small. A quiet reminder of how fragile life can be. Not long after, we boarded our train and began the journey back home. 2 weeks, 4 very different regions. And a journey that turned out to be far more meaningful than we had imagined. Until next time, keep trippin' like a local.